So for a while now, Republicans keep warning about a big red wave that's supposed to happen. And every time they say the big red wave is coming, it doesn't show up. And I think the reason for that is because more and more people are starting to see through the bullshit of the modern day Republican Party, MAGA, whatever it is you want to call them. They realize that there's no substance there. There's no solutions. There's a bunch of fear. There's a bunch of hyperbole. There's a bunch of, rhetoric and yelling over top of each other. But they never actually come back to the table with a real solution. They shout down other people's ideas all day. They talk about how bad other people's ideas are, and then when you ask them to present their solution to the problem, it's pretty much just to take down anything a Democrat done. And if you don't side 100% with Donald Trump, then you're a traitor to the party. And that's all so weird to me, because there was a time that you had the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and the politicians worked to fit into that mold. But now the Republican Party is torn. They're in complete shambles. And some of them are just trying to fit into the mold that is Donald Trump rather than the other way around. It makes no sense to me. And you would think that during an election year, when they really need that big red wave to happen, you would think that they would be coming up with ideas and solutions and working together, but instead they're falling apart worse than ever. Take a look at this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene going after Mike Johnson, and then I want to talk more about it.
Given what you said, do Republicans deserve to be in the majority?
That's up to the people, because this is the third betrayal by Mike Johnson. He delivered a two-part omnibus, funded the Department of Justice, 91 federal indictments against President Trump, funded the FBI that raided Mar-a-Lago, gave him a brand new FBI building, funded Joe Biden's open border policies that are killing Americans every single day. Then he reauthorized FISA that spied on American citizens, spied on President Trump's campaign, and he voted against the warrant requirement, the same warrant requirement that he was for 6 months ago. And then he did this bullshit in here on the House floor, foreign war package that does nothing for America. It's unbelievable. I'm thankful that America gets to see who this man is. I'm thankful that America gets to see who the people that voted for this is, because this is the only way it's going to change. People have to see the truth.
Why is this fight?
Notice how quickly she turned that entire conversation about Donald Trump. She made it about him. Why? Because their loyalty is not to the Republican Party, and it sure as hell ain't to the American people. Their loyalty is to Donald Trump and solely Donald Trump. You step out of line or you disagree with him or you go after him in any way, then you're Judas Iscariot to them. And it just breeds a type of voter and a type of thinker that is so far beyond anything I've ever seen in my life, because I grew up in the 80s during a time when I heard a Republican president say, tear down that wall. I remember it plain as day. And now we got people like this guy, Gunther Eagleman, out here apologizing to Putin. Get a load of this. Dear Putin, I hope this post finds you well. I wanted to let you know a majority of Americans do not support the funding of Ukraine. We do, however, have a few that believe everything the U.S. government and media tells them. We call them sheep. These sheep are incapable of thinking for themselves and lack any common sense. I ask, don't blame us for the sheep and their actions. Signed, Real Americans. As someone who grew up in the 80s, it's just really hard for me to wrap my mind around that one. It truly is. But that is the type of person that the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world creates. And that's the type of person who they empower, someone who would go to Vladimir Putin and apologize and call the rest of us sheep because we won't buy in to Donald Trump and all of his crap. It's so ridiculous. But I don't know why in an election year that Republicans aren't trying a different strategy. I don't understand why they think they can win with this kind of rhetoric. Watch what happened when the bill passed. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene giving her thumbs down on how tacky this is. And of course, Lauren Boebert had to be called down. Watch this one. And I really like this next clip because while they're being told to their face, this ain't working, what do? They just double down and yell over top of it. Take a look at this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Roy, the histrionics and the hyperbole are not working. You just said so yourself. It's not working. We're about to pass. It's not working. It's not working. The bottom line is...
The gentleman will suspend.
So come November, when the big red wave once again fails to show up, they're going to cry that the game was rigged, and we're just going to hear more and more conspiracy theories. They're never going to be able to wrap their minds around the idea that they lost. Meanwhile, the rest of us are going to be sitting back going, yep, that's how you lost it. You just kept doubling down on the same old rhetoric and kept thinking it would work. And instead of pledging your loyalty to the American people, you pledged it to one man, and that was Donald Trump. And that's it. They're not loyal to the Republican Party. They're not loyal to America. It's solely to Donald Trump. And what's so hilarious is that once the dust settles from all of this, and years from now, we're trying to figure out what happened and we're trying to explain it, people are going to be playing this clip of Lindsey Graham because this was pretty prophetic. Take a look.
Donald Trump is not going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. If he is, that's the end of the Republican Party. Because what he is doing is...
So then if he is, what do you do?
Well, then we'll lose.
Now, I do realize that Lindsey Graham rolled over for Donald Trump over and over after the fact, but there he is owning up to it and admitting it. Years from now, they're going to roll that clip back and they're going to say, yeah, right there is when we should have pumped the brakes and listened to our own selves talk. But instead, they just continue to roll over for the guy, and now here we are. It's going to be very interesting to me once Donald Trump's out of the political arena. It's going to be interesting to me to see where they take it next, because Donald Trump, for whatever reason, does have a way of connecting with his crowd. He is the cult of personality to that crowd. And we saw Ron DeSantis try and fail miserably. Someone like Lindsey Graham would be a lost ball in high weeds. There's no way he would ever be able to carry on that legacy, if you want to call it one. But that's what's happened. The reason they keep losing is because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump said, you're going to win with me so much you'll get tired of winning. And they just keep losing. And they just keep staying loyal to the guy. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And where I'm from, man, they will fire a coach in no time. If the coach makes one bad call, the coach gets fired. But yet they'll turn around and they'll vote for Donald Trump, and reasonable people can't wrap their heads around it.